The passionate leader. Because leadership without passion is just a title.
Meeting. We got a collapse in the garage. Get the squad back living in here. We got an IV bond of a firefighter. It's on island urgent. Transmit a second off.
Hey everybody, welcome back to The Passionate Leader. I'm your host JP, and today we have a very special guest with us. We have Chad Gill, who is a third-generation firefighter with 19 years in both a career and volunteer fire service. He got his start in the suburbs of Buffalo, drawn in by the social side of the job. However, when training hit, it lit a fire in him that's been going ever since. He began his career with the Myrtle Beach area in 2014 and now serves as a captain with the North Charleston Fire Department, one of South Carolina's busiest cities. Despite the full-time role, he still volunteers the Horry County Fire Rescue, staying grounded in the fire service. He's a lead instructor for both the Charleston County Recruit School and the South Carolina Fire Academy, known for keeping it real, holding the line, and developing firefighters who can think and perform under pressure. As a proud member of the Charleston Metro Fools, Chad surrounds himself with like-minded firemen who still care deeply about the craft. Off the job, Chad and his wife run a hobby farm, raising animals, working the land, and embracing the lifestyle that keeps him grounded. Whether he's feeding livestock or cracking a cold beer after a long day, the farm gives him a sense of peace that the firehouse just can't. It's his reset button and the big part of what keeps him balanced and ready for the next call. Whether he's on the firehouse or in the fire classroom, Chad leads with passion and humility and a clear message. Do the job right, build each other up, and stay aggressive. It's my honor, guys, so welcome to the show, Chad Gill. How are you today, man?
I'm doing well. How you doing, man?
Good. So, as always, bios get a quick talk, and then is there anything that I missed or anything like that we kind of need to?
I can never talk to myself like that. There's just no way. You did more than you even had to, my friend. So
no, I don't think anybody, the fire service is grounded in a lot of guys who are really humble. And sometimes when we do our intake forms, I throw it through a processing software that kind of, that makes sure that we gather everything. Cause you're like, oh yeah, I've been in for a little bit and I did this and that. But to the viewers that don't know you, man, there's probably something you did that's like, dude, that is the coolest thing. I mean, for somebody, man, maybe going out to the shore and collecting seashells is like the highlight of their knowledge of you, So it's what might seem little to some is major to others. That's why I like to give a good bio.
I appreciate it, man. It makes me feel bigger than I really am. So thank you.
Right. So for the listeners, why don't you kind of walk us through how you got into the fire service and what keeps your ass lit in the fire service?
So in high school, I was friends with a lot of guys that were in a year above me, and they all joined the fire department. And I would hang out, and I was like, well, if I'm going to see the fun aspect, then I might as well join. And it was a volunteer fire department, and I saw the fun aspect. I saw the beer. I saw the girls, and I was like, this is it. This is where I got to be, And I applied, and it wasn't even it was in the town, but it wasn't the fire department. It was up the road. And I got accepted, and I got into Fire 1 right off the rip in EMT because you had to have it within 2 years. And I don't know what it was, but I got bit by the bug. I don't know if it was the social acceptance, the feeling valued when you walked into the firehouse, and we called it a fire hall because it was a volley department. I don't know what it was. It's to this day, even my dad was on the job and he was out by the time I got in. I never thought about doing it. It wasn't a thing on my radar, and my buddies did it. I got on. I was like, this is it. This is what I want to do the rest of my life. And I started testing. And for the viewers from the South that kind of apply and get on, it's not like that up north. And it's very civil service, and you have to test well and get accepted and everything. And I was getting the chief's interviews, and I wouldn't get accepted. I would get here. So I literally pencil whipped the application down here. And I said, you know what? I'm 26. I need the shit or get off the pot. And if I don't get on the job, I got to find something else. Maybe it's just not meant to be. And I got the phone call, and I was like, holy shit, it finally happened. Like, this is it, And I got picked up, and I don't work at that department anymore. I left there, went up the road, and that's where the leadership stuff really started to hit hard on toxic leadership. And it was great for 2 years. And my God, I'm I'm surprised I'm still married, to be completely honest with you. It was that bad, and
Hmm.
I had to do something, and I did, and I left, and I got onto the city now, and I couldn't be happier. It saved my career. It's just I got bit by it, man. There's just no other way around it, and each person gets into it different, but each person stays for a different reason, and I love going to fires. I don't like people losing their stuff. I don't like people getting hurt, but man, if it's on fire, I wanna be there. I don't know. I don't care if it's a trash can, an ashtray, a car fi I don't care. I love going to fires. I it's just there's something about it, man.
Well, I
Mm.
mean, it's everybody always asks like, why'd you want to be a fireman? And it's super cliche, like we want to help and um, but I mean, let's be real. The bug that bit you was probably the fact that we get to break shit. We get to drive
Yeah.
fire trucks really fast. We get to drive 65,000-pound piss missiles down the highway that we probably shouldn't be driving that fast,
Yeah.
but you know what it's the stuff that we get to do in the fire service is, and that it's the adrenaline rush. It's an absolute dump, and you're not wrong. Fire, it sucks to see people lose their houses, but how cool is it to be able to crawl down a hallway and kick fire right in the ass? And
Yeah, I mean, and every day's
it's adrenaline.
unpredictable too, man. Like, it's
Yeah.
you go to work one day and it's different than you went yesterday, and I think that really helps me wanna go back, and
Yeah, no, I
it's
like it.
like a frat club. I went to college, but I went to a local college, so I didn't stay, I didn't dorm, I wasn't in a frat
Sure.
club or any of that, but I feel like I'm part of a frat club because it's just a bunch of goofballs that go to work that love it, man.
Right.
Their shenanigans and just having fun, all busting, and then you get to serve the community at the same time. And you can't ask for a better job. I mean, you really can't,
No,
you
dude,
know?
dude, you're spot on. And what shift do you guys run as far as hours? 24/24, or is
So
it
we used to be 24/48,
okay?
and 2 years ago we went to 48/96, and I couldn't be happier. Um,
So
it's
uh,
awesome.
yeah, I mean, it's like, so me being in the administrative side, I get crackerjack hours, dude. I'm Monday through Friday, 8 to 4. So Um, and I know there have been studies, and I cannot quote the right people, so I'm not even going to try, that have shown that the longer the shift at the house is actually better for your, mental and physical well-being as far as your circadian rhythm and stuff. So, I mean, it's good to kind of hear, you answered my question before I could even get it out, because, you said you couldn't be bad. You have,
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't vote no on something I never tried, when they came out
that's
with
a
it,
hell of a thought
and I was
process.
like
Yep.
most of us are working 48s now, either on mandatory overtime or just overtime in general. Why the
Sure.
hell not just do a regular schedule on it? And I was 3 months in, and my wife looked at me, she's like, "You can't go back to a 24/48. Like, you can't."
Really?
Yeah, she's like, "The time home, the 4 days off is phenomenal
Fair.
because I get to start a project and I can almost finish it depending on how big it is, or, the recovery. Because you think about it, if you're on a 24/48, even without a Kelly day, you get 1 day off. That day is recovery. Like, you got
Mm,
your ass kicked at work last night, so you got the first 24 off, and then the second 24, you gotta go to Lowe's, you gotta go grocery shopping, you gotta do the lawn, take the kids
yeah.
here, see the and next you know, you're back to work again. Now, I get 4 days off, or if I work overtime, I have 3 days off. So,
Yeah.
I mean, you can't the mental aspect of it, the recovery is huge. Would I like
That's
a
all, dude. I love it.
24/72? Probably, probably, but 48/96 is the
No, and
best, I'll
that's
tell you.
it goes to show the service is starting to adjust, kind of, to making sure that we're where we need to be. It's huge. So being a captain, how long you been a captain, and kind of what really pushed you to want to be an officer in the fire service?
Well, it's my second go around, unfortunately. In my
Mm,
previous department, I was a lieutenant and I left there. Um, I was miserable and I said to my wife I would never do it again. And as I went to the city and realized it wasn't the position, it was the place of employment, I saw what the department needed and I knew I could facilitate what they wanted, the mold that they were looking for, and I knew I could lead the guys into what needed to be done at the department. And then you start working for some shitty people and
mm,
you could do a better job. And that wasn't the ultimate decision, but I kind of talked to my wife about it and I said, I think I'm gonna do it again. And she's like, "You sure?" She's like, "I knew this wouldn't take long. You said you wanted to be a fireman for a long time, but you're gonna be 54 still kicking indoors." And I said, "I hope so." Like I do,
right,
but
right.
she was right, and your body takes a beating. I knew I needed to do it. It was the
No,
time,
that's
and I couldn't be happier, so I've been a captain here for a year, a little over a year now, but I couldn't be happier. There's no doubt about it. I mean, it's a great spot. I miss driving. I tell you that, I do miss driving.
sure.
Um, Leading the guys and making a huge impact on them is the best thing you can do. That you can't ask for any more than that.
I love it. I think it's probably a boilerplate question that I always toss out about, why become an officer. But honestly, the answer of because I wasn't, I saw it could be better, and that's it. I love it, man. And that's why I think a lot of us are doing what we're doing with these movements. Is um, I I'll plug a show that I was on yesterday. That just dropped yesterday, and the reason I started the Passionate Leader platform is the chief of my department had told a fellow department head in town that he was going to do everything he could to prevent me from promoting or reaching my career goals. And it was driven by some personal, inner personal stuff, but it lit a fire in my ass that I'm like, you know what, well, not only am I going to do what he says that I can't do, um but I'm going to do better. And it is what it is. I can tell you right now that individual is no longer with our department, and it's like a parting of the seas. It was he was not a bad individual. It's just every chief of a department has their own their own agendas. Sometimes they're hidden. Sometimes it's just they do what they think is right. And um it's just nice to kind of see now that we're in a more of a progressive situation where we have a chief now who is open to change, who is welcome to stuff. I mean, she just came in and said that she's willing to spend X amount of dollars to send our guys to conferences and stuff now. That was unheard of in the past.
That's
So
awesome.
it's good to see the welcoming of this stuff. So she teeters on a thin line. She supports me and kind of just she's sort of like my, hey man, just watch what you're doing, like don't
Yep.
post stuff at the firehouse
Yep.
and stuff like that. So I'm like, it's a fair trade. You give me attention on the back. She feeds me, and she's like, hey, bring up this topic or try this message. And so she's been feeding me stuff, and man, it's been working. No,
That's awesome.
I
When you have the upper echelon that's backing you, makes
yes,
your position so much better.
it really does. Yep.
Somebody asked me, yes, was it yesterday? Can't remember what it was, and it was something about promoting. They're like, I don't think I ever want to do it, and I said, you will. I said, I'll tell you, will, and what's going to help you is your boss supporting you. When you have the support, your position's easy. It really
It
is.
yeah. Yep.
Like some people are like, oh my God, it's gotta be stressful. Yes. Is it stressful? Yes. Is your position in the admin stressful? Yes. I'm not saying it's not, but
Right.
when you have guys that buy in and you have your battalion chief or your division chief, whoever it is that's in charge of you, supports you and makes and lets you do you can't ask for anything better than that.
But
Like
yeah,
you really can't.
and it's tough if so for me, like I've been on a few different departments, all on the volunteer side until I went to a full-time spot here in a combination department. And there's always toxicity in the fire. There's always, that one kind of person that's, and it's more so sometimes just based on, skepticism. But when you're on one that's just so toxic and there for so long, you're like, dude, is it just the service that just sucks? And
Mhm.
when you realize, I look at things and you could see chiefs and other officers that support their guys. I'm like, dude, like this is so. I mean, we're in a, like I said, we're in a great place. Now as a captain, are you like the first line up from a firefighter, or is there like lieutenant
So
below you?
we have an engineer role too. So
Okay,
it goes firefighter, and then you can become a backup driver, and then you test for engineer, and then you have to be an acting company officer before you can promote to captain. We
gotcha.
don't have lieutenants. So I did it in 5 years, which is really it's quick, but um I came with some experience, and I don't try not to bring that up because I'm new here. And I remember when I got there and they're like, "Man, you come with experience." I said, "Yeah, but how do you not know I didn't know what the hell I was doing?"
Mm,
Just because I come with some years of experience don't mean I know what the hell I'm doing or I did the position before. So I
yeah,
always did that argument, because we hire direct hire firemen that you get in, you're like, where were you a fireman at? You've been on
right.
how long? And then you get guys that are like, holy shit, I'm so happy we hired you. And it goes both ways on that,
Yeah. Yep.
so 5 years, I was ready for it,
That's
and I
awesome.
couldn't be happier.
Yeah.
There's no doubt.
Yeah, so part of being a combination department is we have just two full-timers, myself and the chief, and then it's all, paid on call members from, there on out to, if somebody calls for help, we're at the mercy of God and whoever is able to show up that day. So well, what we get a lot is if we have a lot of residents in town who are full timers on bigger departments, and we've had them, come on, join the fire department and help out. And we've had, some of our other, former senior officers are like, well, they don't have to, they don't need to be a probationary firefighter. Like, make them this, or
Mhm.
if they want to come on and there's a lieutenant vacancy, like, yeah, let them put in. And it's not a lack of trust to build onto the, well, how do we know? I'm a firm advocate that I don't care if you have been a chief of New York City Fire Department, you're coming on and being a probationary firefighter, and you're going to at least have some sort of a set of parameters to check and balance to make sure
Yeah.
that you're not just blowing smoke up our ass.
100%.
And
100%.
it's been a fight that we've had to fight for a while, and we actually lost a few members through we finally decided to enforce our attendance policies for calls and trainings and stuff. And some of these guys are on bigger city departments nearby, and great assets, amazing firefighters, could probably run laps around me, but you're only an asset if you show up. So there's a lot to be said about it. So I mean, kind of switching to the volunteer side, how demanding is Horry County? They pull quite a lot of your time away as far as being a volunteer and stuff like
So
that?
I mean, I think you got to do 10 hours a month, and
Okay.
uh, give or take, and you got to make 2 trainings a month. And
Okay.
but the department is 1,200 square miles. I mean, it's huge, and
Holy
they run
shit.
80 some thousand calls a year. So,
Jesus.
am I a volunteer? Yeah, but I'm actually paid on call.
Mm. Yeah.
When I lived down at the beach before we built our house out here in the country, I mean, it'd be no problem for me to run 12 calls in a day, like nothing.
Yeah.
But now out here, my volley house hasn't ran a call in a couple days. You know,
Gotcha.
but being
Yeah.
a county volunteer, I can go anywhere in the county. So
Okay.
if I'm
Yep.
in North Myrtle Beach and a fire drops and I have my gear, I can show up.
Oh, all right.
Being there for 11 years, you kind of get to know a lot of people,
Sure.
So, hey, I show up and yeah, we need to do this. And it's all POV response. I can staff a rig if I want. So, like tonight's training night, so when we're done here tonight, I'll go over to training night for a couple
Nice.
hours,
Yeah.
So it's demanding, but it's not, and as long as you're
Sure.
open with the guys and say, hey, I'm working, they understand.
No, that's cool.
Now
Yeah.
you're not around for 3 months and you haven't said anything, yeah, they're probably going to get on you. But as long as you have open communication with them, I work a decent amount of overtime. Like hey, sorry, I can't make it Tuesday. Okay, I'll put you down the book that you were working. No problem.
That's good
And they
stuff.
take care of you, you know. But it's a busy department. For you not to get your calls or not be around, you have it's a problem for you. I mean,
No,
it's
that's so growing up in the fire service, third generation, what values from your family's legacy still kind of guide you forward in the fire service, if any? I mean, I know you said your dad was already out before you started, but I mean, I'm sure you, at least as a kid, probably saw some stuff.
yeah. I mean, and he was I think a fire captain when he left, and he can go to the scene, and it was different back in the '90s compared to now. I mean, just with riding on the tailboard and all that. But what I learned from my parents in raising up was just hard work and like never giving up was the biggest thing that was always taught to me, and hard work, and always, no matter what I was doing, I was always trying to make money, always trying to earn a dollar, and responsibility was what was taught to me,
Mm-hmm.
and being honest with people. That
I
was
love
it.
it.
I mean, hard work and honesty gets you a long way. And it's never stopped me from what I've been doing. Has it been a rough patch? Has it been a bumpy road? Absolutely. It's never
Yeah.
been an easy road, but learning that off my father and him busting his ass to raise a family, it breathes onto you. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just how it is, genetics do a weird thing to you. People say I look like them. I don't think I look like them, but everybody else is like, oh, you look like them, but
Yeah, I hear you. I get it with my boy's 16, and they're like, yeah, Gav looks just like you, and I'm like, sure.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, I'm the
Yep.
milkman,
Or
I don't
whatever.
know what you're talking about, you
Now,
know?
I mean, if you want to compare personality traits, for sure. I mean, he's got his quick wit, and my daughter Aubrey, she has the ability to talk to a rock. So I feel she gets that from me. Gavin's a little more reserved, but he's got those drier than a popcorn fart in church kind of jokes that they the slow burns, I think is what they call them nowadays. But so one of the best things, and one of the reasons I wanted to get you on the show, was you you have a program now that you've presented a few times. I'm not even going to try to name it, so I'm just going to let you. I'm going to transition into it for you. About when the transition from going from firefighter to an officer. So if you want to, why don't you walk us through how you decided to start the program, what it is about, and kind of go from there.
So, like we talked about the PD regional conference, Kelly that was organizing it, he reached out to me and it was like, "Hey, I'd like you to speak." And I was like, "Oh, you know what? You need a pep talk, a keynote speech. What do you need?" And he's like, "Oh, I'd like you to present." And I said, "On what?" And he goes, "Anything you want, anything you want to talk about." And I was like, "All right, hey, give me a couple days. Let me think about this, because one, I never thought that would ever happen. I never thought somebody would
Sure.
call to me to speak at a conference. I never thought you would reach out to me to be on here. That's not something I ever wanted and was out
Mm,
there like, hey, call me. That wasn't it.
yeah.
And I reached out to a few people and I said, hey, listen, I have this opportunity. What do you think I should talk on? I mean, you could do a presentation on engine company and make it a push down a hallway and force some doors and they said, every time I see you comment or talk about it is always something about leadership and taking care of people. And how about you do something like that? And I was like, okay, I will. Well, that was not the easiest thing I've ever done in my life was take ideas in my head and put them in PowerPoint.
Yeah.
I remember driving down the road and hitting the mic button on my phone and talking to it and then not looking at the notes for like 3 days. And I said, what the hell was I thinking? Like, what was that? Like the dictionary don't even know what word I said.
Sure.
So
Yep.
I did, and I worked for such a no-name department that was very toxic leadership,
Hmm.
and I knew I needed to do something because here, there's no officer development program. You go through the process, you get promoted, they give you the keys, and they say, "Don't crash." And I think
Yeah.
that's wrong. I think there should be some kind of development, and you can't make somebody I can't do my program and say, "JP, you're gonna be a leader." No, it's more information for me to guide you to get to that point. Or maybe you are there and you need some tweaking. Or maybe you're doing some things and you're like, that's not I need to change it up. And that's what really the program was about. And Kelly gave me my opportunity and I thought it'd be a dumpster fire. I literally did. And it got some really good reviews on it. And I've done it 3 times now and
That's
people are
awesome.
asking when I'm doing it again. And I said, "Hey, okay, I guess, I mean, it's no information no one's ever heard before.
Sure.
It's not
Sure.
like, I mean, the fire service is ever evolving. We've been pulling hose for hundreds of years. It's just you're talking a different way of pulling hose. And maybe you teaching it one way, someone's gonna learn off it that they don't learn it from me, the way I talked about it. And I think that's just how you present the material, and I got
Love
some
it.
really good feedback on it. And of course, I've tweaked it up already. I take some good constructive criticism from the guys that were in the class, and I said, "Hey, what do you think? How was it? Oh, it was great. Okay, let's be freaking real now. Like, give me really judge me on it. Like, seriously, like, what do I need to
Yeah.
change up?" And they did. They gave me some tweaking thing, and I did. I tweaked it up a little bit and
Oh,
added some
that's
things and
awesome.
took it off, and I guess it's taken off. I never thought it would be.
Oh, dude, I'm proud of it. So I put in to present it and I if I get into this, dude, it's because all the other presenters sucked. So I put in to present at the Key City Fire Conference up in Maryland.
Okay.
We were literally, my wife and I were, and the kids were in a hotel room in Nashville on vacation. I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. Let's see what happens. We
Yeah.
talked about it before we went to hit record. What's the worst that's going to happen? I don't get it. So in advance of it, on my second and third episodes, I had a deputy fire chief from a neighboring town where I grew up as a kid, and I reached out to him. I said, "Dude, hey, I put in for this conference. You've been on my show. You know what I'm about. And I put together this program. I literally just need to pitch this to somebody and let me know whether I need to reach out to this conference, like, hey, pull that out of the docket because, or, if it's going to be good. And I've got it now booked for there. And then I'm working on getting it in a round robin. It's a fucking hockey tournament in a round table format for a small town department in Pennsylvania now that
Cool.
kind of wants to bring me in and sort of walk through it. So, I mean, the need is there. It's making sure. And like you said, it's the fine tuning. And I
Yeah.
have the admin assistant at the firehouse is she's my work wife is what I refer to her as. Really, really good friend's wife. She's our secretary, and she has come up with a ton of really cool ideas for the platform. And she's going to come out, and I know she's going to be like that brutally honest, like halfway through the program, your shirt came untucked and your ass was hanging out, kind of
But
stuff.
you need
Or
that.
yes,
You need that,
amen. Because but what's really cool about getting out to other houses is and I say it a lot, is you cannot be a prophet in your own land. My guys are so I could come in with the most advanced hose line deployment, the newest and greatest nozzles, or this new rescue drag or whatever the case is. But if I'm the one that says it, they ain't gonna believe a damn thing that I say. But if Chad comes up and says it, and I literally say this word for word, and you just read off of a piece of paper and you just drone on, and they're gonna be like, that dude knew exactly what he was talking about. It's like, yeah, that came from JP's mouth, you
Yep.
peckerhead.
Yep.
And
Yep.
but that's just how it works. And I think that's where, I mean, it's awesome to see that you were able to give this, and clearly you had somebody that knew for sure that you had the talent that you probably didn't
Well,
even
that
know that
was
you had within
like how
yourself.
you say you have your assistant. We were teaching in Louisiana, and I brought my computer with me, and I was just tweaking some stuff up. And one of the guys that I work with at the city teaches with me, and I said, "Hey, Chris," I said, "Can you look at this?" He's like, "Yeah, man." So on PowerPoint, he puts the comments section next to it,
Jesus.
like, "Hey, talk about this," or "Hey, tweak up this," So I did that, I went through it, and then another guy that was with us, I looked at him and I said, "Pete, can you look at this too? I get two views on it." And he was the one that called me to present it the first time before the conference at
Mm,
his fire department. And I was like, "You sure this is the material you want? Like, you sure
yeah,
this is it?" Like, honest, he's like, "Yes, I'm telling you." I was like, "Okay, if you say so." So
sure.
teaching it, presenting the first time, it was like this is hell.
Yeah, yeah.
In front of a bunch of line officers and giving them a bunch of bullshit, like you probably have already heard it, and who's this young punk coming in trying to tell me how to do my job? But they took it so good,
Awesome.
and
Yeah.
when you put a good lasting impression on people and you're actually a good human being, you're going to get somewhere. I
Well,
mean, there's no other
yeah,
way around it.
it's, being passionate and selling and serving with humility and stuff. It catches on. It's the good COVID of the world, if, so to speak, where it's, if you come in and you're energetic and you're like, hey, I really think we should do this quadruple layer load, and like, what's that? It's like, oh, well, we roll them into hose, we roll the hose into into freaking spools, and we put it up in the hose bed, and it goes out a lot quicker. And maybe it gets tangled up every time, but they're gonna be like, oh yeah, Chad said it's really good, and I really believe what he said.
Yeah.
You just sold snake oil. People are just where they're so hungry to learn new stuff.
You should just
Like I
teach my
s-
program because you already talk about a part of it. Like you really
right?
are. Like
I love it.
seriously, like wait, when you have like not to get the whole program, but a part of
No, of
it is
course.
the three traits of a good officer is empathy, authenticity, and enthusiasm.
I love it.
Like,
Yeah.
and you're freaking hitting it right there. Like you come in and you're like, I want to go to a fire today. Like we're
Yeah.
gonna do that. Like let's go
No.
to a fire. And that was, and I always like people talk about going to low budget fires. Like oh that was a low budget fire. Yeah, would you rather be on a chest pain? I mean, would you
Amen.
rather be taking a blood pressure?
Yeah.
Think about that. Who cares if it was a
Right.
low budget fire? Who gives a shit? Who cares if the kitchen was on and used a can? Who
Yeah.
cares?
Yeah.
You
It was
could be
still
stuck in a
fire.
netting and someone else taking that fire for you. So it's better than a chest pain. So you get that
Yeah.
enthusiasm and that freaking drive, man. Yeah, is there always going to be slugs? Yes, there are
Right.
always going to be slugs.
Yep.
But you know what? They're going to fizzle their way out and go to other companies and they're not going
Yeah.
to work for you.
Yep.
That's just how it's going to be. That's life in general. You got high performers are going to work with high performers. It's just it.
100%. And part of the drive, I think, I don't want to put, anything in your mouth, but I can certainly attest that most officers, the reason we're so energetic and enthusiastic about spreading the word is we're at that, teetering point in the service where a lot of the old heads that, that we classify as bottom feeders they're on their way out. And we just got to make sure that before they're gone and their bad traits fall on the next wave of officers, that we get that out of their heads before the next officers start. Because if it starts, all we're doing is repeating the cycle, and we're not leaving it better than we left it. And that's the biggest thing. I
Yeah,
think
people get mentored by those old heads though
yes,
too.
it's scary
And
as hell.
are there really some good older guys in the department? 100%. There
Yeah,
really
yeah.
is. And there are really some good
Yep.
mentors and guys that love going to fires and love coming to work. But then there's those guys that fuck this place you get. And it's
Mhm.
less like,
Yeah, they get
oh,
jaded by the job, I
like,
think.
man, come on, dude. Like, I get it. Like, every place has its problems, but like, you can't even control what you're worried about right now.
Yeah.
Like, stop it. And we're
Right.
all guilty of it, man. We're all guilty of being falling
Sure.
into the toxic shit. And it happens. We're life, we're human beings. But I'm like, all right, I got to get out of this. What am I doing?
Yeah.
And surround yourself with those people that are going to bring you up and not fall into that negativity, man. You're going to have a great career. You're going to have
Yeah.
fun going to work.
Well,
And
in
this is it.
emotions and personal traits, every single one of them is contagious. It's just a matter of what one you catch on to. So it's our job to make sure that it's passion and not toxicity.
Yeah.
It's just simple.
Yeah. I mean, I remember, like I worked overtime one day and we took in a fire and I was on the rescue and I got off and I start running. And the fireman behind me, she's like, "Oh, we're doing this." Like, "Oh shit." And I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, "We don't run." Like, I was like, "What?" Like, the bitch is on fire. Like, let's
Yeah.
go. Like we gotta move, She's like, "I'm not used to this." And I'm just like, what the fuck? But it's everywhere, man, but
Right.
you laugh about it and you push through it and you make the best of it.
Yeah. It is making sure that like I said, that the bottom feeders just don't infect those that are either new to the fire service period or our next line of officers. And I think one of the coolest things, I'm not sure, how it is down your neck of the woods, but for us, a lot of the new up and coming firefighters, they question the why. And I talked about it a lot during my weekly kitchen table talk that happens every Sunday at 8 p.m.
I gotta put that in my calendar.
Yeah, well, and now being a guest, I'm gonna actually, now you get a weekly. I'll have to shoot you an email every week, like, hey, be on the pod or be on the
All right.
live. So one of the things that I was, this week's topic was generational misnomer, and it's whether it really is a phrase that genuinely came to my mind or I read it somewhere and it just happened to pop up in my thought process. But the generational misnomer is the young generation. They're too soft. They don't have the work ethic. They don't know how to do this. They don't know how, and it is a two-way street, right? So we can say the same thing about we're here complaining about bottom feeders and some older guys that don't have it, but there's bottom feeders that are also young guys. So just as much as you want to complain about the new up and coming officers and the new firefighters, it's the same. It's the same two-way street. But for me, it's the simple fact that we have a lot of people that are closer to retirement that they want to say, well, they just don't have what it takes and they don't have this. And to that, the big fact of the matter is well, what are you doing to make sure that they do? Instead of sitting there in the recliner and not want to go out to the app bay and throw ladders or pull hose or tie knots, you're just sitting there watching Maury Povich, and I'm like, dude, just get off your ass and do something, because you can't complain about it. It is no different than you cannot complain about a political figure if you didn't get out and vote. You have
100%.
no fucking reason to be complaining if you didn't go out and make a or try to make a difference. If the person that you wanted to be there isn't there and you voted, then voice your opinion. And it's no different in the fire service. If you're an old head or even a toxic younger officer, and you have guys that you're like, oh, he doesn't have it. Well, especially as an officer, it's your goddamn job to make sure that they have the tools that they need to do the job. And the new generation that we have is the Y generation. And I got to tell you, it's so fun to be an officer with this new up and coming Y generation, because they ask inquisitive questions for everything. Like, hey, back in the time, when I was a cap, I was like, hey, Cap, why do we pull up with our first due truck? We never lay in the driveway. We this, and this. And for a while, no word of a lie, my answer was, I don't know. because I was never taught. So I had to go and find out myself. And I loved it because those new young sons of bitches made me have to go figure it out so I could give them the answer. But now, you find out the reason is, well, that was how, back in the day we were taught that way. And we had one time where the throttle cable, got stuck on the pump panel on one of the trucks and all this stuff. So but the inquisitiveness of the newer firefighters is so exciting to see coming up.
Yeah, and
And
the
through the
biggest
pike.
thing, JP, is we get a lot of detail guys in.
Mm.
My fireman's off, so JP, you get detailed to me for the day. And I always go over like what I expect that maybe they've never worked for me. And you always throw that little tidbits out there like, hey man, we go to this. And one of my big proponents is every reported fire, we lay in if we can, and we stretch. Every
Mhm.
reported fire. The only two that I don't do it off the rip is an apartment and a commercial. So I want to make sure I'm in the right breezeway so I don't look like an idiot and have to pull my hose off.
Fair,
And
yeah.
two, commercial, we don't know what side of the building we're going on.
Yeah.
Like it could be a big commercial, And a couple guys like look at me, they're like, you don't want to go like and investigate? And I said, you want second due to put out your fire?
I
And they're
love
like,
that, dude.
oh. And they're like, I didn't think of that. And I said, man, it does two things. Like, how often do you get to stretch on a real call?
Yeah.
You don't.
You're
Yeah,
right.
unless you run a decent amount of fires, you don't. So you get practice. You get some practice in of
Yeah.
stretching under the heat of the moment. The adrenaline's rushing, everything.
Yeah.
So that's where you're probably going to mess up, right? Because it's just repetitive and everything. It's under the pressure. Two, if it's nothing and I pop the door and there's smoke billowing out, we're ready and I can say, JP, charge the line.
Yeah.
We don't have to go back
I
and
love
get
it.
the line.
It's already with
And
us.
they're like, I didn't even
Yeah.
think of that.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of officers out there like, hey, grab the can. We'll just go check. What?
Now, is that your policy for even just a simple alarm activation? Stretch a line just in case?
I don't do it on an alarm. We run so
Yeah.
many alarms, and I shouldn't
Fair.
be like that. I shouldn't, but
No, and don't take it negatively. So
no, but we run so many alarms that
yeah.
I can go to Boeing 4 times in a day, but Boeing's thing is huge,
Yeah.
and it could be at this building, it could be this, so should we? It's hard to say. I'm not
Yeah.
the officer that does that.
There is a very strong argument both for and against it. For departments, smaller departments. So we average. I'm gonna give you our annual. We'll have to see how this works out for us. So annual calls for my agency, roughly 300. How quickly do you get to 300 calls?
We run that in probably a day.
So for us, that's disgusting.
No, I mean that's not realistic. No, we run probably 26,000 runs a year, 27,000 runs a year.
So for us, I look at it. So we get of that is that's everything from our fire alarm activations to CO detectors to building fires, mutual aid calls. So for us, I'm more of a proponent of it because I'm like, well, listen. Get used to stretching. Make sure the hose is pulling out. And I mean, hell, we'll do one of our trainings a year is to take the trucks out, lay all the LDH off the top of it, and then repack it so that we can fix the creases in the hose. That's how no joke. So I mean, it's so fun to see how the fire service is different.
But your
from area to
300
area.
calls should never hinder doing what we do that run 27,000 calls.
Right.
And I've been at a Valley department that ran 1,100 calls a year.
Yeah, and what's scary is I can tell you of the 5,500 residents that we have, probably 5,400 think that we are a fully staffed department 24/7, and they also feel, because I'm fortunate enough that our ambulance service is not part of the fire department, so I am. The only time I'm ever doing some is explicitly if it's a cardiac arrest or something of that nature.
So you guys go to advanced level care calls.
Yeah, that's the best way to put it. And so, which is great because I am a B, but dude, I hate med calls. It's not my jam. I would much rather go put somebody out that go instead of giving them a Band-Aid, man. I'd rather go put freaking water on them if they're on fire. I would know more what to do.
Yeah.
But so I mean, so those are our calls. But yeah, it's so people, let's call the firehouse. They're like, yeah, I stubbed my toe the other day, and I'm like, oh, well, you actually want the ambulance service, and unfortunately, I can't patch you through to them. Have a great day, good luck, and then I hang up. But in all seriousness, it's the education of the public. They have no concept
And
of
they don't
what
care who
is and
shows
isn't.
up, man. They
No,
don't give a
no,
shit.
they
They
don't. They
don't
don't even
care that
care if
it
it says our
says
town on it.
they don't care. Like, they
Yeah,
want somebody to show up and help them.
yeah. No, it's this is
So,
good stuff. Yeah. So
and
to
I
your
know that's a
program,
big thing all over the United States
yeah,
is my
yeah,
sandbox is my sandbox. And luckily where I'm at, we run auto aid and it's close as
yeah,
units. And we're with seven other departments, seven departments total, I think.
yeah.
As close as units go, man.
I think there's a lot to be said about that. So we are still of the old fashioned trend of you could have a building fire, and if it's 3 feet from one town's border to the other, then the other town doesn't get called until requested from. And I'm like, what does it matter? Call the
Right.
nearest fire department that is in it. But
Mhm.
it's a culture pride thing. It's old
You gotta throw
mentality.
that away, man. And it's
It's
not
tough.
to
Yeah.
not to throw anybody under the bus with that, but like
No, it's
think about
have at it.
manpower. Like
Yeah.
manpower
Right.
ain't there,
Right.
especially in the volley service anymore. Everybody's working.
Mm,
Everybody has 2, 3 jobs. People have families. Like they don't have time. So
yeah.
staffing's low. So now you're skipping that department because you don't like them because they're, maybe there's young kids that hang out the house that
Right.
get out quick and they put your fire out a couple times or they beat you so you don't like them. You
Right.
know what? That resident don't give a shit. Now
No,
you
and
talked to me
they
15 years ago,
yeah. Oh yeah.
I'd
Right.
probably be on that end of it and be pissed. But being on this side of the field now and really understanding on how the
Yeah.
citizens are number one,
Right.
they don't care. They don't give a shit.
No,
You need to be
and
there
they
for
don't
them.
even know.
And if you're not going to
And
put them first, go be a greeter at Walmart because
amen,
they'll
dude,
hire.
amen. They and I think the fact of the matter is it's about providing customer service, not stuff like that. And you're right, it is. I love the auto aid thought process, and I'd be far more of an advocate. Part of it that hurts us is we have a lot of different dispatch centers. So it's not like the whole area is covered by one. It's, this town does like this little group of towns and ours does these 3 towns. So there's a little bit of more, there's more coordination behind the scenes that has to happen, but it still shouldn't be that hard. And it should just be institutionally known that, okay, Brookline is getting bagged out for a building fire and um, it's near the Townsend line.
Yep.
Townsend should just hear it and be like, pow, we're going to, we know what you guys want on a first alarm, and we're just going to send that piece right away because you're going to
Yep.
ask for it anyways. There's
Yeah.
very, very seldom are we able in my small community to handle anything more than a trash barrel fire by ourselves because we don't know what we're going to get. And I would much rather ask for help way quicker than be
Yep.
like, oh, yeah,
Have
so
them coming.
yeah,
I
we
can
could have
cancel 'em and
stopped
then you
it.
have to request 'em.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's like we could have stopped the fire, but I'm sorry, Mr. and Mrs. Smith. I thought we could get it, and now instead of just keeping it at the at the breezeway, it's burned your entire house and
Yeah.
garage down.
Yeah.
So it's a pride thing. All right, crew, this is time for a part check. It's JP with our guest today, Chad Gill. We've made a push on empathy, navigating the generational shift, and the power of mentorship. That's a wonderful benchmark to start for part 1, and we'll pick up on part 2 where the operation really starts to heat up. Ladies and gentlemen, as always, if something today in this episode hit, please make sure you share it. You have to act on it, and you need to make sure that you are the leader that you were hoping for when you were the younger officer. And as always, lead with passion, serve with humility, and leave no room for bottom feeders. Until next time, guys, stay safe.